Video được Việt hóa bởi Ngọc Tân từ group tài nguyên dựng phim. Nghiêm cấm các hành vi nick về rồi bán cho thằng khác. Mọi ý kiến đóng góp xin gửi về Facebook Quỳnh Ngọc Tân.
Alright guys, we're going to continue working in the timeline, but instead of blending clips together, we are going to have multiple clips appear in the same clip. And let me just show it to you. So I'm going to drag a few clips here in my timeline. Let's start with this one, which we haven't used yet. Double click on it, look for a nice starting point and a nice ending point. There we go. And we're only going to drag the video for now into the timeline. Let's keep the existing settings. All right, let's make some more room here, and I'm going to drag another clip in there. Let's go over to, let me see here what we have. This here looks really nice. All right, so also in point with forward in time, out point, and drag it into the timeline. There we go. Now perhaps I want to trim that clip a little bit out, like so that it is the same length as my bottom clip. So like we've seen before, two papers on top of each other, we can only see the top clip appear now in a program monitor. Now what I want to do is create a split screen so that we can see both clips at the same time. Now in order to do that, we're going to have to go over to the effects library again. So let me just look for that. It's not this one. Let me just close a few things. Here it is, the effects library. And I'm going to look for the effect called crop. Take that, and I'm going to drag it on top of my top clip. All right, select it, go over to the effects controls in which we can find the properties of the crop effect right here. And just like with the motion property, the crop effect is also something that we can just select and then visually change in the program monitor. So as I've got that selected, you can see that outline here around the clip. Moving one of these lines here will just crop away a certain part of that shot. Now, I don't want to crop it like this because my most interesting information in that shot is here in the middle and not so much here on the right side. So I actually only want to use this part and perhaps cut a piece here off that other side. There we go. And so now the idea is to go to the motion properties here, to the position, and just move that clip up to the right side like that. So now we have the two shots next to each other, but I noticed that it's not really in the middle. Like this line right here, it should be in the middle of my shot. And I can kind of try to aim that and kind of guess if it's in the middle or not. But there's a better way of doing that. You see, I'm going to click here on this little tool wrench here on the right side, which says settings. Just click on that, which is going to open up a whole bunch of settings that we can change about the program monitor. And one of those things here is the save margin. If I can find it, here it is, save margins. So just enable that, which is going to create this box, and we're going to work more with that as well in the future of this course when we're going to create graphics animations. But for now, it's already useful because we can see these two tiny lines here, which represent the middle of the shot. We also have that horizontally right here and there. So that helps me to kind of move this crop into the middle of my picture. There we go. Now don't worry guys, this is just an overlay. When you're going to export your video, that will not be burnt into your video obviously. It's just a guide to help you. Alright, looking good, or at least the right side does. The bottom does not so much. Let me just make a little bit more space. There we go. I'm going to select the bottom clip now, and just like with papers, I can move that now to the left side too, because it's underneath the other clip. So we can see both the waterfall and this nice canyon. And there we go, we have created a split screen. Let's play this back. Looking awesome! And of course, at all time, you can go back to that wrench setting right here and just disable save margins once you're done so that the guidelines are not in the way. Look at it, guys. Looking really good. And of course, you can create multiple split screens, perhaps have 4 videos, one in each corner. That is possible as well, or 1,000 videos. That is up to you. If your computer can handle that, all right. But I doubt it. All right, going good, guys. I want to go over to a next technique, the last technique for this lesson, and that is the reframing. It's something that Adobe is super proud of, and I have to admit, it is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do here is go back to my project window. So I'm going to right-click in here, go over to New Item, and choose Sequence. Now, what I'm going to do here is head over to the settings on top, because I want to create a vertical video, and currently the frame size is set to 1920 by 1080, which is the default HD resolution. So if we flip those two numbers, see that the horizontal side is 1080, and then the vertical side is 1920, we have the portrait mode, or the same as my phone, which is currently charging, because the battery is almost dead. Anyways, I'm going to give that sequence a name, which is going to be Iceland for socials. You know, very typical to make a video for social media. All right, I'm gonna go back now into my camera folder, and I'm gonna look for something that is moving so that we can use the auto reframe, which is a pretty cool option. Okay, so here we have something, the first drone shot. Let me just double click on it to select a part. So it's kind of like panning to the right side, which is pretty cool. But there's this mountain here in the back that I want to keep in the middle at all time. So I'm going to select a part from there. So just in point, go a little bit forward in time, and then select out point. There we go. Drag that video only into the timeline. And yes, I want to keep the same settings that I had set myself. Let me just zoom in. All right, there we go. So as you can see here now, we get a portrait program monitor. And as we play back that video, it looks good, but all of a sudden here, my mountain kind of gets out of the frame. And that's not what I want. I want that mountain to stay within the frame at all times. So we're gonna have to do some kind of an animation. Now, luckily, we don't need to do that manually. There is an effect within Premiere that does that entirely automatic. And so let's find that in the effects library. And we're just gonna look for reframe in here. And it is right there, transform auto reframe. So just drag that onto your clip. It is also GPU accelerated, or we should be able to play this back pretty smoothly. So let's select that clip and head over to the effects controls and see what is going on here within the effects settings. So there is a button called Analyze, but I think it already did that. If it didn't, you can just press that again and it will automatically do its magic. All right, let me just select the auto reframe here for a moment so we can see the edge around the clip and so that we can also better see what is going on. And as I play my clip here, you can see that that frame is animated. How cool is that? So automatically it recognizes a moving shot and it's going to make sure, in this case, that this little gap here between these two mountains stays in the middle. But we can also offset that a bit, which we can do here with the reframe offset. So just move that shot a little bit more to the right side so that we have the mountain here in the middle. And now if we play this back, that mountain should stay in the middle at all time. And that is working pretty good. So if you have videos that are shot horizontally, like the normal way of filming something, but you want to put that on social media, that is for portrait mode, you can use the auto reframe effect to make your subject stay automatically in the middle of your frame. So here we can already see a great example of utilizing multiple sequences. I have created a video edit here in my Iceland video that is just horizontal, a normal video, but then I want to make a version for social media. And that is why I'm using a portrait sequence settings together with the auto reframe effects. Now let's assume that we have created an entire video edit in normal horizontal mode. And now we want to take that entire edit and put that into a vertical video. Like, do we have to go back to our other sequence and start copying and pasting all of these clips in here? Well, no, we don't. Let me go back here to my project window. As we know, a sequence is just an item in the project window as well. So what I can do now, actually, let me just go back here to my Iceland for Socials sequence. I'm gonna delete that clip in here. And what I wanna do now is take my Iceland video here, which is my horizontal video, and just take that sequence and drag that into the vertical sequence. So there we go. We're going to say keep existing settings. So this here is an entire group. It is green, which tells you that this is actually a sequence that we're looking at. Let me just zoom in a bit more on that. I can select it, go over to the motion property, and I can move that up to the side. You can see here that we have that whole vertical video in there, but we're only seeing like a part of it. Let me just reset that again. And what I could do now is go to my effects library and look for the auto reframe and just drag that on the entire sequence here. So it's currently doing its thing. There we go. And it recognizes that there are actually two things going on. If we are going back to our normal video edit here, we have a split screen, two videos. That is not really so useful for a portrait video. So you can see here that it automatically just chose one of those parts and it will automatically stay on that clip, as you can see. So actually the auto reframe effect doesn't need to have much adjustments. It sometimes just works straight out of the box. Now, pretty cool as well is that we can also just double click here on this sequence in the sequence, and that brings us back to that main sequence. And there's a fancy word for that, putting a sequence into another sequence, and that is called nesting. So this here is a nested sequence. It is nested within another sequence. All right, you know what, guys? My coffee mug here is empty, so I'm gonna grab myself another coffee. In the meantime, I want you to practice this. I want you to make a small edit in a normal sequence, then create a vertical sequence, put your original sequence in there, create a sequenceception or a nested sequence, and then throw the auto reframe effect onto it. And perhaps you might want to offset the position a bit. Maybe not, who knows? That is the surprise of the auto reframe effect. All right, see you in a bit.